So here we are in another test drive. This has an LS3 6.2 6L80 in it. But this build is a little bit different. I've actually worked on this vehicle for several years. This vehicle had a 5.7 VVT Hemi in it. A lot of guys don't know we work on Hemis as well as LSs. Yes, of course we prefer to install the LSs, but we have a lot of customers with Hemis. This particular Hemi I've worked on for, I'd say, about 5 years, and the biggest issue with it was overheating. Here in Vegas, being a black Rubicon heavy, it was constantly overheating. Over the years, I've replaced TIPMs, PCMs. I even installed thermocouples, thermal sensors under the hood and monitored the temps during the summer. And we picked up temps over 300 degrees under the hood when it was 115, 120 out. And this led to the failure of modules and other electronics. We did work with the installer. This Hemi was professionally installed and did some fan upgrades and radiator upgrades. And for the most part, we got it to where it was drivable. However, pretty much every year at Moab, and this customer likes to go to Moab every year, it was a problem. And again this year, it was hot at the Rubicon, so in this vehicle he had to constantly stop to get through the trails, and that was it. So he brought it in to do a 6.2. He was actually wheeling on the trail with a couple of our other swaps, and they did not overheat. So here it is, has an LS3 in it now, and I will say the VVT Hemi and the LS do drive very differently. They both have a lot of power. There's no problem there. The LS is a very relaxed engine. It's very docile. The drivability is very OE, very factory. Your wife could drive this to the store and feel comfortable in it. In fact, right now on the highway, we're cruising at 1800 RPM, and all I can hear is tire noise. Tire and wind noise. I can't even hear the engine. So if I were to describe the difference between the LS and the Hemi, the LS is like Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. It's a very refined, very drivable engine that has very good manners right off idle all the way to the red line. But the 6L80 keeps the revs low. Now, this may bother some people because traditionally with a 4-speed you're revving the motor up to make power. Like I'm accelerating up this parkway right now and I'm at 1800 RPM. This does return better mileage. The Hemi, on the other hand, feels more pumped up. It's more of a muscle car type engine. It likes to stay in the higher RPM bands and never feels quite relaxed. If you're looking for that muscle car feel, the Hemi, that's what the Hemi feels like. The LS, on the other hand, feels very refined. Think of an Escalade or a Denali. Then when you get on it, it'll drop 2 or 3 gears and come alive. This LS3 has about 450 horsepower. So it's like Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, where the Hemi is always Mr. Hyde. We're going to take this up to the desert. I don't think we're going to go to the mountain in this one, and run it through its paces. The customer's going to pick it up this weekend, and I think he'll be very surprised how differently two V8s run. The Hemi's a powerful motor and the LS is a powerful motor, but they deliver their power in very different ways, and I'll be curious to see this customer's reaction. Now, we have done, between in-house and support, about 12 Hemi to LS conversions, and I don't believe any customer was unhappy. In fact, I think every customer was elated when they got the LS, mainly because of the transmission. The 5-speed Chrysler transmission is lacking in a lot of ways, and when they got the 6L80 transmission with the adaptive shifting and tap shifting, it works much better in my opinion than the Chrysler transmission. So here we are in the Collegiate and rocks, and I'm going to talk a little bit about the transfer case. Now we're running the 241J transfer case in this, which has a 2.7 low range. This was originally a Rubicon, which had a 4-to-1 transfer case. What a lot of guys don't understand is when you combine the 241J 2-to-7 transfer case with a 4-to-1 first gear of a 6L80, the end result is virtually the same overall ratio as the stock Rubicon, because the stock Rubicon has a 4-to-1 front planetary, but the Chrysler transmission has a 2.8 first gear. So you end up with basically 11-to-1, and then you combine that with the torque of the V8, and you really don't want to go too much lower than that for running trails like I'm on right now. If you're running in mud, sand, or snow, you need to keep your wheel speed up, and the 6L80 is great at that because it has RPM match shifting. So if you're climbing a rock or a sand dune, when it shifts, it'll match the revs to the next gear, so you don't lose that wheel speed momentarily. Because the 6L80 has a 4-to-1 low and a 0.6 high, where the Chrysler transmission has a 0.8 high, it means you can actually go faster in four-wheel drive low. Phil Howell did a test on that, and the difference wasn't a lot. It was like 40 miles an hour versus 45, but there is a difference there. You got a lower low and a higher high, so that's something to consider. You do not need a 4-to-1 transfer case, in my opinion. Now we're doing a 4-to-1 build right now with an Atlas, and even a 5-to-1 build for guys that crawl. They have no intention of running in snow or mud or sand. And while we're talking about the Atlas, let me tell you some of the advantages and why you would want to use one. The Atlas 2 has the ability to engage the front axle or the rear axle in high range or low range. What this means is, unlike a stock Rubicon, if you want to engage just the front drive for snow, let's say, front wheel drive, you can do that with the Atlas. If you want to engage just the rear in low, have two-wheel drive low, let's say you're going up a switchback trail that has a lot of turns, you don't want to fight the steering wheel locked up in four-wheel drive, you can put it in too low and go up that switchback trail and steer with ease. So the Atlas does have some advantages, but it adds to the cost of the build considerably. So I would say let's go with the Atlas if you have a need for it. If you don't have a need for it, the 241J works great. We swap out the front input in the 241J, so it's plenty strong. Even for these LS3s, we don't have any issues. So I'm going to run this Collegiate trail here for just a little while, and we'll be back.